Burst of Destiny Sneak Weekend has come and gone, and we have Despia, Floowandereeze, insert in these nuts joke here, and really some interesting looks at early Swordsoul and Evil Twins, of course. Let's take a look at these lists, shall we? 35.6% of you still not smash love it, crap out that subscribe button. Smash it so we can get closer to 100k, baby. The first list that you see on your screen here is the power of Despia. This was a top 4 split between Sean McIsaac's locals for you guys, sporting off the power of post-burst of Destiny support, actually, for this. So we have 2 copies of Ad Lidium of Despia, treble copies of Alubar, 2 copies of Dark Onyx. Actually kind of intrigued to see a deck like this taking advantage of Dark Onyx. We have 2 copies of Tragedy, with 1 Celestial, 1 copy of everybody's favorite Dasher, treble copies of Dramaturgia, 2 copies of Branded in Red, triple copies of Branded Opening, 2 copies of the Theater, of course, 1 copy of Foolish Braille, triple copies of Fusion Destiny, 1 copy of Gold Sarcophagus, triple copies of Pot of Prosperity, triple copies of Super Polymerization, triple copies of the Talents, triple copies of Ice Dragon's Prisons, and triple copies of Solemn Stee Reich, wrapping up the main deck here. Extra Dynamite, 1 Verti Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 copy of Cerberus, 1 copy of Dragugulgong, then with the 1 Hope Harbinger and the 1 number 100. Then we have the 1 Starving Venom, the 1 copy of Mud Dragon, 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies of Masquerade. This card is really good. Then we have 1 copy of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, 2 copies of Quadratus, and 1 copy of Preskinian. Then we have triple copies of Lancia, triple copies of Space Rock, triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 copies of Lightning Storm, and triple copies of Evenly Matched here, wrapping up Despia. Now, do not be, shocked when you see this deck kind of show up as a rogue contender here after, Masquerade and Ad Lidium actually become legal, because these cards do progress this deck's strategy quite well, in my opinion. Next up here is an Evil Twin list that Akana sent me. This was Gene McGuiger's first place finish. Yes, with Troubled Sunny, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we're stepping up to bat here with new support. So, this deck has just kind of become hand trap central to kind of escalate and do what it wants to do. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring, 2 copies of Effect Veiler. We're playing the 1 copy of Evil Twins, Kishi's Kill, and Lilla. We're actually busting out the good one here. Okay. We also have triple copies of Ghost Belt and Haunted Mansion, triple copies of Kishi's Kill, 2 copies of Frost, triple copies of Lilla, and 1 copy of Treat. And then we have triple copies of Space Rock, 1 copy of Cold by the Grave, 2 copies of Crossout Designator, 2 copies of Home, triple copies of Sunny Snitch, triple copies of Secret Password, 2 copies of Talents, and then we have triple copies of Imperm and triple copies of Torrential Tribute. This feels very, very standardized for, I think, what we're going to see in the future here as we go on. We have 1 Unchained Abomination, 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, triple copies of Troubled Sunny, triple copies of Lilla, triple copies of Kishi's Kill, 1 Centria, 1 Downard, and the 1 Sky Thunder. Then we have 2 Lancia, 2 copies of DD Crow, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, triple copies of Dark Ruin No More, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and 2 copies of Evenly Matched here, wrapping 7. Before you're like, well, Robbie, I've messed around with this deck. Like, I don't feel how this is good enough. Do not underestimate effective 1-card engines. Like, in terms of, like, if your opponent hand traps you wrong here and you have the extender, you just kind of win the game. Also, bare bones at the end of the day here, once again, you play like 30,000 hand traps. Like, as soon as 1 Troubled Sunny touches down, you should be good to start winning that game. Like, things will just start snowballing in your favor, and I think that's what we like really best about this. Next up here is Lane Frazier's 3rd place finish with Floowandereeze, and yeah, things look pretty standard here for this. We have double Impen and the Ryza built into this. The one thing that I find particularly interesting is the inclusion of Punishment here in the main deck. So, we have 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 copy of Storm Winds, triple copies of Dimension Shifter, 1 copy of Effect Veiler, triple copies of Egan, 2 copies of M-Pen, triple copies of Rabina. We're actually playing the once now. No, I still think this card's pretty bad. I mean, yeah, it gives you the additional 3 normal summons, and the effect that it builds up on the field to do a generic flip down isn't bad, but I feel like at the end of the day, there's still inherently better options than this. We have 2 copies of Stritch, triple copies of Toucan Sam, and 1 Mega Ryza. Spells here, we have 1 Call by the Grave, triple copies of Crossroad Designator, triple copies of the Map, triple copies of, yes, you guessed it, Pot of Duality, triple copies of Pot of Prosperity, 1 Punishment, 1 Dreaming Town, 1 copy of the Scary Sea, and 2 copies of Infinite Permanence here, wrapping up the main deck. Now here in the extract, extract's all utility options, by the way. So we have 1 Frigate, 1 Celine, 1 Almirage, the 1 Unicorn, the 1 Phoenix, 1 Boral Sword, the 1 Appaloosa, the 1 Assembled Nightingale, the 1 Zeus, 1 Omega, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 copy of Neos, and triple copies of Anintes. Side deck here we have triple copies of Book of Moon, triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, 1 copy of Feather Duster, 2 copies of Lightning Storm, triple copies of Twin Twister, and triple copies of Evenly Matched here. Wrapping up Lane Frazier's, well, 3rd place finish. It's not a 1st place finish, but with Floowandereeze, I definitely think this will be something that you'll want to keep an eye on here progressively as things go on, because technically, you know, minus this deck is still kind of budgety. I just got to decide what you want to play. Like, this isn't really mandatory. All right, now I have another Floowandereeze list for you guys here from Gary. He's been messing around testing this. This will kind of give you a little bit different of a snapshot for things that you can do with these. So Gary's got all kinds of sorts of interesting ideas that they've been testing around with. So for this particular build, we're playing 2 copies of M-Pen, 1 copy of Ryza, 1 copy of Apex Avion. Remember, Apex is totally up to you if it's an option you want to play or not. We have 1 Storm Winds, triple copies of Egan, 2 triple copies of Stritch, triple copies of Rabina, triple copies of Toucan Sam, with triple copies of Pot of Extravagance, 1 copy of Terraforming, 1 Gold Sark, triple copies of Pot of Prosperity, 2 copies of Pot of Duality, triple copies of Book of Moon. That feels a little bit interesting. We have 1 Set Rotation, 1 Floowandereeze in the Unexplored Winds, triple copies of the Map. Then we have 1 copy of the Elbors of the Sacred Lands of Simorgh. All winged beast monsters gain 300 attack and defense, and then you can only use each of the following once per turn. So you can reveal a level 5 or higher wind monster, and then basically gain an additional normal. If you control a wind monster, you can immediately after select results gain an additional normal summon of another winged beast monster. Technically, it's just more extending capabilities for the deck. Actually, kind of an interesting resource to try. And then we have triple copies of Infinite Permanence, 1 copy of Dreaming Town, and then down here in the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Frigette, triple copies of Nightmare Phoenix, 2 copies of Shirag, 1 copy of the Assembled Nightingale, 1 Downard, 1 Nova with the 1 Sky Thunder, and then we have 1 copy of the Wind Pegasus, 1 Omega, 2 copies of Anintes, and 1 copy of Makaba here, wrapping up Gary's Floowandereeze deck. A little bit different of options, but I think having diversing different takes for you guys is definitely something that you'll want to consider here, at least in the Floowandereeze department, as there's been so many ideas that people have tested that it's kind of been interesting. And the last list I have for you guys here is another list from Gary. This is going second Swordsoul. The objective of this deck is to give you more options to make sure that whatever your opponent sets up in terms of a board, that you can basically smash through and start capitalizing and do your thing. So we have 1 copy of Mermer, triple copies of Ashuna, triple copies of Vishuda, triple copies of Longyun, 2 copies of Tae, only 2 copies of Moi. I don't really agree with this, but interesting enough. We have 2 copies of Ecclesia, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 2 copies of Ada Ada, triple copies of Talents, triple copies of the Dragon Sword Appears, triple copies of Vessel of the Dragon Cycle with triple Prosperity, triple copies of Droplets, triple copies of Imperm, and 1 copy of the Sudden Shift. Down here in the extra deck, we have triple copies of Monk of the Tinyi, 1 copy of Land Phonicus, 2 copies of the Shaman, 1 Draco Masters of the Tinyi, 1 copy of the Berserker, and then we have 1 copy of the Sahasha, 1 Yazi, 1 Chizao, 1 Draco Berserker, 1 Dragite, 1 Borreload Savage, and 1 copy of Barony de Fleur, wrapping up this chunk of deck profiles for you guys. As we further go into the week here, we're going to see how Burst of Destiny will begin to shape up here. We've had this set out in the OCG for about 3 months now. We've seen so many cool ideas here. you know, this set was a real turning point in the game's history here. So finally, we'll begin to see a nice shift in what's currently legal here, and just some other really cool ideas. So guys, what do you think about these deck lists? Please leave a comment about how much you guys think. Smash the like button, that subscribe button, so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later on in the day with some more cool, awesome content. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Peace. Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out Vanquill40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by Vanquill40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mquillgames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.